Recording. All right, so we're doing our discussion video over Aristotle and virtue ethics. I'm Anthony, and I'm joined by Kaileigh. So I don't know, I guess starting kind of at the top of the article or the reading that we read, Aristotle's pretty different than, especially Kant. A little different than Mill too, but in terms of everything, Kant was, kind of, there's only one right answer for everything. Aristotle is very much a, every situation is going to be unique and everyone's going to have a different take on what happens with it. So I already like him already more than I like Kant, because did not like the fact that Kant was saying, there's only one right answer for everything.
Yeah, he's also a little bit different, where he doesn't take consequences or duty into account when making decisions. So that's a big difference too.
Yeah. You sort of have to do, I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting, because I didn't even consider that aspect of it. But that was Mill's entire argument, is that consequences are the biggest factor in how we do things. But yeah, Aristotle's very much just you do what's right because it's right. It's kind of vague in that sense, I guess. I don't know. The other thing kind of with that is, he talks about the eudaimoni, or I don't know, something like that. But basically, you choose your virtues sort of based off of happiness as well. Like, at least that's the way I understood, is that you would practice, or your different virtues to make yourself happier, to make yourself a better person. And sort of the way that you do that is, by emulating other people, copying them. You see what makes other people happy. And so you kind of follow that to make yourself happy. And by process, make other people happy. So I thought that was kind of
interesting. He also said that like your people usually choose like the correct answer for them, like based on their past decisions and characteristics that they have. So that's where like you could have different right answers for each person.
Yeah, there's really no right answer, because everyone's going to have their own version of that. Yeah. And so I guess that kind of goes into more of his virtues and everything too, is that even though there isn't one right answer for each person, there's still sort of behavioral ways that we act that are going to be considered right and wrong, depending on, the extremeness of it. But for each person, it's going to be, different too. So I don't know. I thought that is, I don't know. I watched the John Green sort of crash course for it, and I liked the way that the middle ground is described as the golden mean. It's, there's two extremes on either side, but that perfect middle ground is where you want to be. And the fact that it's golden is kind of on the nose, but I like that descriptor for it.
Yeah, that was a good description.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though, because then there's also the habit aspect of all this, where if you keep practicing something, it's going to be second nature to you. And so, the very beginning, it talks about, or the example that's used is if you're tardy, you try to be on time. So you're going to, in order to be on time, you have to practice being on time. You have to force yourself to keep being on time until eventually it just becomes second nature. And so, we do that. We see other people doing things. We try to emulate that. And the only way to become good at that ourselves is to continue doing it over and over again and focus on doing it until we don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah. I think another example that they used was saying like please and thank you when you're younger, like your parents making you say please and thank you. And then when you grow up, it's just out of habit. And then we'll teach our kids how to say it.
Yeah. It's it all stems down from one person, way in the past, and you just don't even think about it anymore. you know, it's becomes as second nature as breathing. And I liked in that thank you example that you pointed out the, you know, when you get gifts that your mom is going to tell you to send out thank you cards and stuff. And, you know, you complain about it, but eventually you do until it gets to the point where you get gifts, your mom's not around to tell you, you know, to write thank you notes, but it's, you can already hear her saying it. So you want to go and do it anyway.
Yeah, do it before she tells you to.
Yeah, exactly. So is there anything else you want to talk about before we go into the sort of questions that we both had?
I don't think so.
Okay. So this was my question, and it's basically, how do we know if we've reached a maximum potential in our life, or are we just continuously searching for more? I based this off of the eudaimonic question that was there, where it was basically saying, you know, do we, in order to be happiest, do we have to go past the, you know, standard that we would normally get to in life? Do we have to keep searching for more in order to be our happiest, to get the most out of life? And I thought that was an interesting question, but it made me wonder if we're constantly just searching for more in our lives, or if we reach a certain point and we can just be content with that. So I don't know. That's what I was going to ask. Then
my question is, how do we know if we have an excess or if we're deficient in a virtue? And this could be like a gray area in most cases. If it's not like an extreme, it could be hard to tell if we have like the perfect amount of each. And then this, Aristotle said it was like important to establish like a balance between our character traits for like a fundamental nature. So this is like, it's easy to tell with an extreme case, but not so much in the non-extreme cases. So that was my question.
Yeah, because you can still be, you know, kind of off kilter on either side, but you know, yeah, I think it's a good question. I really like that. Anyways, that's all we've got. Thanks.